it's weird to say, but I think the influences right now are just like when I'm watching YouTube and there's like, or I stumble across a random video that has like music, unknown music that I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where the music's from. So it's like really, it's like, it comes from a time period I can't even pinpoint. Like it could be some like weird jazz number, or it sounds like there was one person who shared a video semi recently of like some 60s Russian band, a Russian trio. I wouldn't be able to tell. It was like jazz and classical, and like it was a band I can't pronounce. So it's like it's the stuff I'm being inspired by right now are names that I can't remember, can't pronounce, I will not be able to find ever again. So,
welcome to the 97th episode of the Cast That Ends Creation. I'm your host, Chris Deering. This is the show where I interview bands and public figures for the mathcore adjacent communities. If you beautiful people in chat have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them and I'll try to read them aloud. If you like the stuff for $5, you get access to some exclusive emotes, as well as access to the interviews before they hit YouTube and other streaming services. You can also sub for free by attaching Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It's like taking $5 from Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this in your car and have no idea what I'm talking about, the show is first shown live on Twitch. Join us every Sunday and Wednesday at twitch.tv/the Cast That Ends Creation for the live cast. With that out of the way, let me introduce our guest today who dropped their new album, Shriek, last Friday. Welcome in, Luke Kelly. How's it going?
all right.
All
How you
right.
doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for being here. You are awesome. So your name is Luke Kelly, but you go by Lou Kelly as your stage name. Why not just use Luke?
Well, that's a great question. Well, that's because apparently there's already a Luke Kelly musician. If you Google him, he's Irish folk singer, or was an Irish, or I guess he was the Dubliners. Without me actually Googling it and doing much research, which I should have done ahead of time. So basically if you Google Luke Kelly musician, he comes up and not me. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, people, anytime I say, hey, this is Luke, and I guess I'm lazy with my K's and my hard consonants, so people mistake me for saying Lou all the time.
See, I thought that the second thing you said about, like, you know, saying Lou Kelly, it just kind of naturally goes like that. I thought that was the reason, and I was going to use the fact that there's an Irish folk singer as a joke, but apparently it's a real thing that you were concerned about. Okay. A lot of bands, like, don't take the care to do that. Like, they'll name themselves something super generic and just get kind of screwed over in, like, analytics and stuff like that. So, it's cool that you actually give a crap about that stuff. So it looks like your career, I guess it was as Zelophilia in 2011. I imagine you started making music before then, though.
Yes, I mean, I've been making, just like anyone watching or anyone in the Mathcore Index community, or really anyone who's been any part of punk or metal band, you start in your teens, and that's no different. So I was in a couple punk and metal bands, middle school, high school, and I had Zelophilia was like right in my late teens, early 20s era, where I just decided that I wanted to make a bunch of fake bands. So kind of following the same, what would you say? Kind of like Cameron McBride from Meth Witch, how he has a bunch of way more fake band names than I can even keep track of. So it was kind of like that, being a small, watered down version of what Cameron McBride did with this project. So, but I eventually got tired of doing, setting up a Bandcamp page for every single fake project. So eventually, but anyway, Zelophilia was one of those. It was my first true mathcore endeavor, I guess you'd say.
So are you saying that there's like a bunch of other projects of yours out there that are just like named things that nobody could find?
Yeah. I won't
Okay.
a few, yeah.
Okay. So when did you start making music then? Well, like, I mean, like actually recording it and taking it somewhat seriously.
That's a great question. I think that was when I don't even remember the year. I'm just going off of how old I was. I think that was about 19. That was when I was, so I don't know what that would be, like 2008, 2009. I'm 32 now, so just do the math. I'm not good at the math for the word things, so let's figure that out. I was in a metal band, or an experimental metal band called Boreum. And that was just about the time, ironically, we didn't record that much. There was an album that I think we still have kind of sitting on our hard drive, collecting dust, that we never got around to finishing. But we've done some demos. But it just happened to be about that same time where me and my buddy, we got more serious into actually recording demos and kind of thinking of music as a craft and not as a hobby. So I think just about that time is when I started taking recording a little more seriously and trying to push out whatever creative nonsense I was trying to push out at the time.
I do have to ask because some your stuff is like insanely complicated and it's so beautifully put together and arranged. It's crazy. Like I want to be like you when I grow up. It's insane how well you have stuff organized, like musically, like sonically. It's crazy. Are you musically trained?
I'm sorry.
Are you musically trained?
Okay, not really. When you say musically trained, you mean like I went to school or studied?
Yeah. Went to school or something.
Um, no, I mean I took in college, my stint in community college, I took a intro to music theory class. But that's about the extent of like formal education.
And that's not like a whole lot of information, right? That's like kind of the basics.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like an intro to music theory.
Yeah.
Or if you're an Adam Neely follower, that might seem a little Eurocentric to use the word music theory to apply to just, which is mostly anyway. Never mind. If you have any Adam Neely fans or people who follow Adam Neely, I'm sure they might go, "Oh no, music theory. You're talking about just Western music. That doesn't apply to all the."
Well, I'm sure it's a deep hole to go down, but I'm actually really shocked to find out that you're not trained. Like it's crazy some of the stuff you made. But clearly you've had like this crazy musical journey, starting with like extreme metal, then going into country, classical music, and ultimately combining them together with where you're at now. How did you get to that point? Like, what made you want to start up Luke Kelly, like the brand Luke Kelly?
Oh, well, I mean, the brand, it wasn't so much of a brand, it's just, I guess, kind of piggybacking off of what I said earlier, was I was doing a bunch of different random project, making the one album for this one fake band. And that's the extent of my idea for the one fake band. So I was kind of getting tired of doing that. So I just decided to switch over to one name, one account, and stuck with Luke Kelly for that. And so, but basically every one album is essentially the same path I would have still taken for making, one album for every fake band. So every album, own personality or concept is kind of is patting myself too much on the back. I call it a concept album, but there's a specific direction for every album I make from there. So yeah, I guess I could talk for days about any album that you have questions on. I could tell you what the idea was behind it.
Well, let's start off with the first one, Hooligans.
Yep. So Hooligans, that's where I was. Just before then, I was really trying to get into composing and also doing stuff for trying to find a way to make money off music. And that includes, trying to sell music to music libraries, meaning that they can use it for TV or movies or whatnot. But the way that I got into that, or trying to find more information about it, was actually through a forum called VI Control, which is for virtual instruments. I don't know how much overlap there is between mathcore and the virtual composers forums there. But anyway, so it's forum a bunch of internet composers who basically have to rely solely on sample libraries and the zeros and ones, and trying to input it into MIDI instead of actually playing music live.
I know a little bit about that, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so any orchestral, violin, brass, any orchestral sample libraries, or any information, trying to find what's free and what's a good price. It just kind of went down a rabbit hole there. Anyway, so trying to segue back into it, how I actually use it for music making, I thought like, oh, there's all these orchestral music libraries I wanted. I realized there actually really isn't a whole lot of, not that I can think of, but a lot of punk and orchestral stuff combined together. If there is, I could barely find it. I think the closest I found was like Cardiacs.
Oh yeah, dude, they are sick. Oh my god, I found them like a couple months ago. Like, yeah, they are insane, especially for their time. So far ahead of the curve.
I found them way too late in my life. I really wish I found them at the same time as when I discovered Mr. Bungle. I really wish that I have listened to. But yeah, so anyway, I just realized that for some reason I just got this weird fetish that I need to put punk and orchestral music together, and that's what we're really about.
Okay. Well, and that actually is pretty similar to where your current stuff is, like Shriek and stuff like that. But after that, you did a blues and like straight up rock album, Dirty Habits. It seemed like you were trying to take this more seriously too, because you did a bunch of You did a couple music videos for it. We actually got some of them. I was gonna play it while we were talking about. If I can. There we go. But anyway, yeah. So were you trying to take this like more seriously at the time, like become a blues artist, I guess?
Well, that's actually no. It was my sellout album. So ironically, okay, going back to VI Control, I didn't realize this was connected. Um, so after I put out that Hooligans album and kind of shared it on the VI Control forum, hey guys, check out my stuff. One of the forum members on there, one of the users on there, was nice enough to say, hey, I work for this, I submit music to this music library. Do you mind if I pass their stuff along to them, and then maybe you can make some music for them? So through that connection, they had me on, and I decided to submit some music I had an idea for blues and rock, so that way they could use it for TV. So that way they can sell the rights to people to use it for their TV shows and whatnot. So it was just an afterthought to put it as the Luke Kelly moniker. I was really just using those same songs, those instrumentals from those same songs, and then just threw some vocals over it and lyrics, and just decided to, I don't have any ideas to do anything else. I'm gonna recycle this material and hope that no one.
Well, I mean, it's good. It's really like straightforward compared to your other stuff. So I just thought it was really interesting that you went in this direction whenever like everything else that you do is so like insane. Like the next one you did, Grown Children, which is a bunch of classical arrangements about like how you would picture a little boy or a little girl or a man or a woman to be like in the world. How the heck do you even come up with an idea like that?
Well, I think I wrote that years prior, or it felt like it was years prior to when I actually released it. I just kind of, polished it up before I released it. But the idea that came from that was I was really taken with the idea of tone poems, where in the Romantic period there was, at least my understanding of it, in the Romantic period of music, there was a lot of composers who like to do tone poems where they just create a musical interpretation of some scene they had in their head. So basically you have a general scene or plot or certain idea laid out, and then that's written out, but then you try to describe that story just musically. At least that's my understanding of it. I'm sure someone in the comments say, no, you got tone poems wrong, buddy. You need to do your research before you get on
I've
this.
actually never heard of them before, so that's the first time that I've seen, that I've heard of them before. So like that's pretty crazy to me. So then we move on to what you call scum pop, scum lords. I've never heard the term scum pop before. Is that like an actual genre or?
No, that was just me trying.
Dude, I love the name. That is so good. That's so good. This is actually very similar to Junk City. I would feel like this is the precursor to Junk City, actually.
You are right. That taps into the same world that was, for some reason, I don't know. I had the idea in my head when I was doing Scum Lords. I really wanted to combine, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like jazz, big band, and punk and rock, like a really sleazy form of it, a really cartoonish sort of way. I realized, especially watching Jim Carrey's The Mask recently, that music has sort of stayed since my childhood, and I think that sort of weird, cartoony, sleazy, but in a weird punk sort of way, kind of fed into or informed Scum Lords. And so when I went to Junk City, it was basically tapping that same world because I just liked that. I don't know. I want to revisit that world and expand on it.
So are there any like VSTs that you would recommend to people to be checking out? Because all your work basically it's done in VSTs. So like, what do you like using?
It really depends on the genre. When you say VSTs, you talk about virtual instruments or orchestral stuff?
Just like whatever you like to use. What's your favorite one?
Let's see. For drums, I keep coming back to because I use Kontakt as my primary sample library player. For sample libraries, I keep coming back to it. Came with it when I bought the bundle. It's like Abbey Road 60s set. So you find that all of Scum Lords is just that Abbey Road 60s drum set. I think so. And it also comes with Studio Drummer. So I'm not one of the cool kids who uses like Easy Drummer or Studio Superior Drummer or whatever.
That's what I use.
But
I'm one of the cool kids now. You heard it here first.
Right, you're the cool kid. But So anyway, I love that drum. I just find myself keep coming back to that. Great sound. It's really easy to work with.
About like horns and stuff, because I feel like I've asked you this before privately. I don't remember what your answer was, but yeah, I feel like your horns sound so realistic. It's crazy.
Thank you. That is from Session Horns Pro. You can find it from Native Instruments. I think E Instruments is the official company that initially came up with it. Yeah, Session Horns Pro with all for the jazzy stuff in shakes and whatever, all the Sinatra doings. So
okay, so like, how do you manipulate the sound to make it sound real? Because my problem with like working with some of these samples is that it just doesn't sound realistic. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I run that problem too. The short version, unless we did like a 2-hour walkthrough, the short version is just you work with the samples. So all the different articulations being like staccatos, sustains, growls, falls, shakes, that sort of stuff. I basically just tried to write the melodies that fit best for the sample library. Honestly, I have a general idea of what sort of melody I have in my head, but of course you're working with limitations of software that's trying to emulate real instruments. So you're trying to find what it does well, what it doesn't do well, and you're trying to avoid what it doesn't do well. And so you just kind of work around that and just, this sounds good, this sounds like garbage, don't do the thing that sounds like garbage, is what the advice.
Okay, pretty straightforward. So you like, what was it, Session Horns? Is that what you said?
Session Horns, yes. Session Horn Pro is the fancy schmancy pro version with more instruments and more articulations.
I'm actually writing that down.
Yeah. I don't know, I was going to say what to bring up what we brought up in conversation. You use, was it Mojo Horns too?
Yeah, Mojo Horns too.
That, it's funny. So I remember seeing that years ago, Mojo Horns, and I thought like, oh, this sounds okay. And then after you mentioned it to me again, like, oh yeah, I forgot about Mojo Horns. And then when they updated it, it sounds amazing.
It sounds pretty good.
I kind of wish I didn't get Session Horns. I got Mojo Horns instead.
Really? See, a thing that I struggle with is making like, what do you call it? Not a solo. I guess it's a run. That sounds really realistic. You know what I mean? And like that kind of that dirty trumpet sound. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's hard to get that sometimes with it, but it's a pretty versatile program. So then we get to the Bulgarian Philharmonic, which it was as far as I understand, it's spotlighting certain instruments. You got one that's spotlighting like strings, one that's for brass, etc. Why did you decide to do this one?
Just thought it was fun to do. Kind of tapping back into Hooligans, which is sort of that. I consider like punk, metal, and hardcore all within the same family of aggressive music. So I don't know what umbrella term you would call for that. I'm just going to call it aggressive music. So I wanted to combine aggressive music and orchestral music, or in this case, orchestrated anxieties-inducing sounds. So yeah, I just thought just for the sake. I didn't want to do a whole album, but I want to do more than a song. So I figured, 4-song EP. Well, what are the main instruments or more main sections in the orchestra? You have your string section, your brass section, your woodwinds, and then you just percussion. So I figured I'd just do a track for each of them, just for the sake of coming to an idea and sticking to it.
The next big one that you did was threesomes with me, myself, and I, and this is actually one of my favorite ones because of the lyrics. It's really awesome. I don't want to read any of them because I'm not sure like how you feel about them like currently, but I think they're fucking hilarious. There is a nice music video you did for one of the plays. This is I'm Happy in My Own Misery. It's such a good idea, man. It looks so professional. Oh my god, you did so good on this music video. Like, dude, I love like playing out of the paper towel roll or whatever, and on the toilet with the drums. It's so good. It's so good, man.
Yes, stuff you see there.
So, it looks like you were trying to be like more like I guess professional with this release, trying to like reach a wider audience, I guess, or.
It's funny you say that because it's like one of my greatest disappointments. That album.
Really.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short, but initially I was really spacey. I wanted to do 3 different genres, but doing one song of each didn't seem like it felt right. I didn't want to do an album for each one, so that felt weird too. So I did this weird collab combination of I do a few songs for country, do a few songs for the big band, Sinatra, crooner side stuff, and then like a few songs for the funk R&B, like 70s, 60s R&B, that sort of style. So I was trying to mash it all together. Anyway, it was one of those albums that I kept getting stuck with certain details and kept spending more and more time I ever thought I would ever put in my life into an album. And then at the end of it, like, it doesn't sound that good to my ears.
What? No, dude, this sounds great. Are you serious? This is really good. I like it. And I like how it has this like air of not taking itself too seriously. Yeah, I think you did a really good job with this. The music video is so good too. It looks so good. So then we come to From the Vault, which to me is really interesting because these are all songs that you submitted to contests and stuff. And I've actually been like going back and like really looking into all these songs that you submitted. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the songs on there?
Yeah, it's obviously it's not an album that I planned on releasing. It was really just a bunch of random songs like throughout the years of finding different contests, music contests to join or to submit to rather. And so just over the years, I just kind of stockpiled them and just tossed them on this little album. Yeah, I think one of the songs, or one of the contests I'm more proud of, or one of the pieces I'm more proud of was Ollie Watton and his, hold on, what's it called? I don't even remember what it's called. Ollie and his band, the Watton Bots. I don't know what the thing is called. Anyway, it was for the Spit edition for drums. So the challenge was you only use those drum samples to make a song out of it.
Okay, so, yeah, I remember listening to that one. That seems like it's quite the challenge. I don't know how you actually made melodies and stuff. I don't know how you made melodies with just drums.
Yeah, so the way, honestly, the easy way of doing it, the trick is you take any sample, doesn't matter what it is, you loop a tiny section. Loop a section, doesn't matter. So basically, you know how if you click something or you speed up the rhythm, something is so fast to the point it starts developing its own pitch.
Right.
It doesn't matter what sample you use, you just use a tiny little sliver of that. So that way it gives you a distinct tone. So that gives you like a crude synth sound. And then on top of that, I just threw distortion and effects on top of it. So it sounds like it's a synth.
Right. So you ended up winning that contest actually, right? Isn't that one of the ones you won? Dude, that's fucking sick.
My true prides of joy. I was able to actually get some sample libraries out. I got Spitfire Audio's The Grange, which is a drum sample library, as well as some, if anyone follows Spitfire Audio and their sample libraries at all, Albion stuff. I got the Albion 1 and Albion 3 and Albion 4, if that means anything to anyone.
The one that I think is probably the best is the one. And you said in your information for the song, which is one of the things I love about you, is that your songs and albums and stuff on your Bandcamp have all this like information, all like history and stuff about like, you know, why you did a thing or whatever. And this one says that you almost got fired for this. So we got the music video going up now for it. But yeah, so what's going on with this?
Well, so Home Depot, what they have, I think every year is that their employees are able to submit, basically it's a talent show, or they submit something that's going to show off of talent, singing, dancing, music, whatever, or skits or comedy.
That's so odd for a big box store to do. It's such a weird thing.
So basically they submit it, and then the winners, or whoever they think is the winners, they get to perform in front of all the store managers of Home Depot in this performance.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Nice weird punk metal song where I'm dancing around throughout the aisles in a leather jacket and long hair and a hat. So yeah, there's some miscommunication because I was working overnight, and is this weird situation where at the time I technically didn't have a boss that directly oversaw me. I was working in a department where I was by myself, so I asked the night manager, "Hey, can I do this?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine," but not realizing what I was actually doing. So by the time the store manager and other people found out, I was like, "Oh, there's some things he's not supposed to be doing in there." And then after that, they suddenly switched my shift over to the daytime.
I guess it's like sliding down on the ladder. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's probably not a thing that you should have put in there." Is it stuff like that?
Yeah, similar. Great idea at the time, being my own little dipshit self. But then hindsight, vision 2020. Yeah, that was a really bad idea. Should not have put that in the video.
That's awesome. Are you still working at the Home Depot, or?
You. Thank
Oh,
God.
thank God. Okay, good. I was hoping that I don't want to like pry too much, but I was hoping that you were doing something within music, be making money or whatever. Are you at that point yet?
No, I mean, I do have some music, and I mentioned earlier I have sample libraries, so it's beer and pizza money. It's not a whole lot. It's not. I have a day job that I stick to. That's how I really make my money.
Okay.
Pay the.
I got you, man. We're all struggling a little. But dude, you're so talented. Like, I wish that you were like bigger than what you are. Like, it's so good. So
Thank
good.
you.
All of your stuff is just amazing. I feel like, why the fuck am I doing what I'm doing when you've already done it better? You know what I'm saying?
Whereas, oh no, your stuff is insane. I don't even know how. Especially your newest album. God damn it, I don't know how you do it. Especially with you have this weird sense. I mean, weird in the best way possible. You have this weird sense of rhythm and harmony and texture that seems to mold together in this one cacophony. It fits the name perfectly. The sound that ends creation, but it's done in such a dramatic and just like chest tearing sort of way. Now it's cartoonish and zany and over the top, but it's done in such a way that I think is masterful, honestly. So,
well, I appreciate that. So the next thing you did was a Savage Death Valley soundtrack. Now, I think I heard about you I heard about you like throughout your career. Like, I remember just hearing the name Lou Kelly, but never like actually checking out the music. And I finally checked you out. I want to say it was like the end of 2019, early 2020. And I found Junk City, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing, and posted it up on Facebook and stuff. And someone was like, dude, you need to check out Savage Death Valley. He's in a movie. He did a movie soundtrack. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? So I checked it out. I'm not playing it up here because there's some things that maybe Twitch might not like. But how did you hook up with this guy and do the soundtrack for an animated movie? What the heck how does that happen?
So yeah, I will gladly tell you about that because this guy needs way more attention than he.
Dude, he's so good. He's so good.
He is amazing. I am so glad to be affiliated with him in any sort of way. His studio or his online name, he goes by Necrotherium. That's with a K, Nekrotherium. I think that's how words work. That's how letters work. His real name is, I can't pronounce it right, he's from the Netherlands, is Valdemar Schoor. I can't. If you see the Savage Death Valley trailer, he pronounces his own name and I still can't pronounce it correctly. Anyway, yeah, he's amazing. It was just a couple or 3 years prior, I think it was, I was somehow got this hair up my ass. I wanted to get an animated music video done for something I'd done previously. It was actually ironically for Junk City, or the song back when it was on Hooligans as an instrumental.
Okay.
So anyway, so I really wanted that to have a animated music video. So I was trying to find people online for it. So I just Googled and went through what's it called? Newgrounds.
Okay.
So I think Newgrounds. And it was just, of course, the stuff is like I could call it to everyone who I talked to about it is a wonderfully grotesque. It's just this beautifully disgusting animated world that he's created, and I just love every bit of it. And so I reached out to him, just asking about, hey, what's your prices? And then I realized animation costs a lot more than I thought it would. But thankfully, he didn't just say, oh, that's my price. Sorry, we can't do business. We said, you know what? I listen to your music, and actually, I really need a guy to do music for me. So it ended up being a trade that I would do a soundtrack for him in addition in trade for a music video or animated music video. Ended up being 2 because the movie ended up being, well, it was supposed to be 7 minutes, ended up being 21 minutes.
Jeez, that's a heck of a thing to tack on.
Yeah.
But you did get 2 sick music videos out of it. We're going to be playing the censored version because I think it's way funnier of Junk City. I love your censors in this. It's so freaking good. Yeah, so Junk City, I would say, is like kind of your masterpiece right now. Would you say the same thing?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the more, I think as far as the album that got the most attention, I would say it's Junk City. Like, that's the one that most hyped up, and the older I get, the more I realize, oh yeah, marketing, you kind of have to do that to get attention. So Junk City was the first album that I actually really tried to do things that get eyes on it. So yeah, it's also kind of, I'm proud of in some instances. There's other instances where like, I could have taken it another step further, because those instrumentals are actually they're intended for the music library I was telling you about earlier. So it's technically sellout music what you're listening to, the instrumentals. So I tried to actually rein it back in so that way you could, put on TV and stuff. So it's not like jumping. It's not like Mr. Bumble where you're genre hopping every few seconds.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's super consistent. It's so good, man. Like, there's nothing more I could say about it. It's just amazing. Everybody should be listening to this stuff. I feel like maybe your problem was that you aren't the best at PR, which most artists aren't. Like, I absolutely suck at it. Like, this should be so much bigger than it is, and kind of a shame that it's not. I love that thing at the end too. Impolite. What do your parents think you? But it's so good. It's so good. So then we get up to, you did an album that's rejects from Junk City, and then genres that may or may not exist. What's your favorite genre that may or may not exist, man?
Well, as far, I guess how would we put this way? Do you think any of the songs I created that I hate the least?
Would you hate all those songs?
No, I don't. Well, hate is a strong word. I would say they're tolerable. I think the genre that I actually kind of enjoyed making was like the only one that sounded like a made up genre was slow chud. Is someone suggested slow chud? I had no, there's no context as to what it could be, so I just tried my best to think like, you know what? I have no idea what this is. I'm going to try to create a genre for this with no relation to what it could be. So because everything else is like
Can
something.
Can you explain what that ended up being like?
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's probably one of my favorites on there. That it was this genre that truly sounds kind of weird and something I don't know what to call it besides slow chud. I think it's the only one that's actual identity on there.
How would you explain slow chud?
Sleazy, wonky. Instead of an actual bass, you use a rubber band bass.
wait, like with a rubber band, like actual rubber bands?
Yeah. Well, with me cheating through life, I use a sample library, not a real rubber band instrument. But yes, it's a rubber band bass sample library. I just put a bunch of distortion on it.
I didn't even know that there were like rubber band basses. So like it's an actual rubber band instead of a string then, or?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Sample of rubber band.
Sample the rubber band. So I did actually, I didn't think that I brought up the music video, but I did. I brought up the music video for another one that guy did for you. Oh god, what's it called? Juju something. What was it? Jija Boo Boo. Yeah, Jija Boo Boo. So we're gonna get that going too. So why do you why don't you have lyrics for everything? Why do you use vocals like Jija Boo Boo?
That one specifically, I wouldn't be able to tell you why, really. I remember years ago, actually, ironically, back in the Home Depot days, many years ago, I had the phrase "Jija Boo Boo" stuck in my head, no context as to what's coming from, and I just kind of stayed in there for years. I don't know why. So, and then eventually, years have passed, I didn't think much of it, and then when I eventually came to do the Junk City thing, that phrase came back. I don't know what it's from. It's almost like that, what was that band called? Siddhartha? Where they kept calling everything Thal or Tall. It doesn't mean anything, but that's their brand. I don't know, it's some gent band that wants to sound like Meshuggah. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I haven't heard of them. No, I haven't.
Anyway, so I wish I had like a profound or funny story behind that, but I don't. It's just, it just kind of stayed in my brain. It just lived rent free for years, and eventually I was able to kick it out after I made that song.
Okay, well, it's an awesome song, and it is a great video. So we're gonna get to Shriek in a second, but out of all of the albums you made so far, which one do you think is your favorite one? Because they're all vastly different. Well, not vastly. A couple of them are like along the same lines, but a couple of them are like way out there.
Yeah, it depends on the day, which child I favor more. But I'd say consistently the one I'm most proud of, or consistently proud of, is Scumlords and Hooligans. There's a tie between Scumlords and Hooligans, because that's the reason for that is because that's me actively the sounds I was trying to create, that's me actively trying to get different sounds and trying to push my limits as far as, trying to create stuff I haven't heard before, or that I think I heard before. So trying to create my own world, I think those are my two. I consistently am. I can look back at it and go, yeah, you're not terrible. I'm okay. You're out there in the world.
So you don't think it's highly of Junk City then?
Well, hold on now. Those are my favorite two. There's a third one that also makes an appearance, and that's Junk City as well.
Okay. Now I know it's kind of like trying to pick between your favorite children. It's probably an unfair question to ask, but you got such a different, diverse lineup. I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
Oh, I said yes. My children are very unhappy with you, making me choose.
So then we come to the reason we're here today. You put out a new album, Shriek. What's the story behind Shriek?
Yeah. So I there's a tiny blur that basically says it. Yeah. One night on Facebook, I had a couple drinks. So I thought, it would be a great idea if I did an EP, but I don't want to do any of the vocals. I'm tired of screaming. So if I just do the music and just have people from the Mathcore Index community scream on top of it, that would be fantastic. And honestly, the amount of effort that I put into the post, the logistics and reaching out to people and creating like FAQs and like what I'm expecting for the project and all that took more effort than I ever planned on putting into the project initially, which was going to be like a 2 or 3 song EP, and just people have scream, burp, and fart all over it. But for some reason, just like a lot of my other albums where I wanted to be just an EP, which is the case for Hooligans and Threesomes with Me and Myself and I, ended up being an album instead of a 3-song EP. So.
I think you've only done like one EP, right?
I think there's a couple. There's Grown Children, Vulgarian Philharmonic, and I guess you might consider the B-sides to Junk City, or Junk City Rejects. I don't know if you consider that a real EP.
Okay. I was just gonna say, like, it seems like whenever you start something, it ends up getting bigger than what you plan on for most of your stuff. Then.
Yeah.
So, who are some of the artists you have on Shriek that are screaming?
So I have. Who do I start with? Well, I guess I'll start with the people who come up on the record the most. That is Nathan Beatty. He is in a band called Circleback. It's a hardcore band. He does a lot of his own music as well. He does a lot of like metal covers as well. He has a hip hop project. I don't know if he's taking it serious or that's just his hobby, but he's a really, really fun, nice guy. And he by far gave me the most bizarre vocal performances.
Is he the one on track 4?
Yes, he is.
Okay, yeah, that's my favorite performance. Oh my god, he sounds like a gun at some point, like a machine gun or something.
I know exactly which parts they're talking about. No, he's a great guitarist, a really groovy guitarist, and he's just a really nice guy, and just screams in the vocals. That he actually sent me a bunch of Here's what he did for almost every track that he submitted to. He gave like 7 or something takes for every track where he's just riffing off on it. So I basically had to take pieces that I thought would rhythmically fit with it. But just like even just listening to them on their own, I was dying laughing because they're so funny and they're just fantastic. I am almost tempted, Nate, if you're listening to this, I might be tempted of releasing your vocals as its own album, an a cappella album of just Nate.
That'd be sick.
But, so there's him, and then the other guy, Sam Cuban, who also I think he submitted about the same amount of vocals as Nate. He has a lot of stuff that I don't think a lot of people know about. I think it likes projects he's done in the past that may or may not be online. Sam, I know we're going to talk about this later, so correct me if I'm wrong if you see this. He has a project called Swamp Eyes, his solo project, which is I call it has a lot of sentiment and heart. It's definitely nothing like Shriek. It's very calm, very Midwest emo kind of, but the good kind, not the whiny kind. And he's a golden human being. He's so nice and hilarious and super talented guy. He came up. I feel bad. I never opened up the thing, but he sent me a card game of Volk this vulgar card game that's sort of like Cards Against Humanity. I feel bad I never opened it because you have to have 3 people and I only know one other person, so we never got. But yeah, and anyway, he gave me the screams. That's sort of like the mid-range screams. You hear them primarily on what's the one he has on? Oh, White Tourist or White Tourists. So yeah, he has these ungodly screams, these primal screams, or these manly yells that makes my skin crawl in a good way. And apparently he was doing that while like on his break from work on his laptop in his car. So just letting the demons loose. So I thought and by the way, all the people I'm talking about, you can find all the links and stuff on Shriek, the Bandcamp page, all the credits and stuff, if anyone's curious. And then who else? We also got, I will refer to him by his stage name, which is When the Mountains Turn Blue. He is an insane, I've never heard music quite like it. It kind of reminds me of The Locust in that where it combines like that really spastic mathcore, I guess, with synths.
Okay.
But he does it in such a weird, like it's almost like this weird combination of like hardcore, metal, punk, jazz, and Aphex Twin. And
okay, that sounds sick.
And it's a lot of his music is like that. He has a bunch of different names. I think a Mathematician Records is where most of his stuff is housed at. Is just super prolific. I don't know how he does so much music at the quality that he does it. It's just amazing. And his shrieks, oh god, they're unearthly. They're just horrific in the best way. And I definitely recommend checking his stuff out. When the Mountains Turn Blue is his primary work. And then other people we got in loop is there's this guy. I don't know how people don't know about him. Is Joe Ferreira. His primary.
I've heard that name before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad someone heard of him.
I'm not sure we're from.
His primary project is called the Andretti, and his debut album that he has with that is called Suicides. What was it? Oh, he's gonna give me shit for not remembering the name of his album. Suicide Italian Style, and it's
okay.
So he's a genius on all fronts in that he's a crooning voice. He has such a powerful singing voice. It's like so if like outsing Sinatra, and it kind of reminds me of like he just reminds me of some crazy crooner from somebody who's amazing jazz voice. And the music itself, the album itself, I compare it a lot to Mr. Bungle's album California. It's like it was like California Part 2, and that it's just art. It's so masterfully done. It feels like he has a whole army of musicians at his command doing it for him, but it's all him basically, with the exception of some people who are doing drums and horns. But anyway, it's just it's all over the place, but it's really artfully done.
So it's kind of like your stuff then.
Oh shucks, that's high praise to get myself. No, it's masterfully done. I can't say that enough, and I wish more people heard of him. I wish more people heard him. Let's see, and then we also have. And by the way, you only heard him for a little bit. He does distorted screams on what is the song called? The Shape of Punk's Receding Hairline.
Okay, I don't know the names either.
It's the one like straightforward punk song on the album where you hear like really distorted screams. So this distorted screams are him. He was like screaming into he's gonna correct me after this, but I think it's like some sort of walkie-talkie looking microphone, some old-fashioned mic. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so what else? Who else? We also got. I'm also going to refer to him by his artist name is That Crooner, or formerly known as That Crooner from Nowhere.
Okay.
So he discovered my music years ago. We've been friends ever since. He's from Spain. He's an incredibly sweet guy, super nice guy, a fellow Mr. Bungle fan. You see the theme here throughout the interview. Lots of love for Mr. Bungle. He does the track near the very end, Bonehead. And so he has so much music that no one really knows about, or I don't think even released. But his primary work for that crooner is it's strictly vocals or vocaltronica, as he calls it. So basically, he sings and then he just morphs it to Kingdom Come through effects. It's all live. So he does the beats, he does the loops, and then he does the bass part and he pitches it down. He does all these effects in real time. And like on the surface, I hear a lot of people kind of do stuff like that where they do live performances and loop it. And it's really bold. Somehow he does it in this way where like he's able to magically transfer from one moment to another, which I find is impossible for looping music. Like you start with one song with one mood and one tempo, and then like bit by bit, element by element, he adds some, removes some, takes, and then it suddenly transforms into the song over the course of like 5 minutes. I have no idea how he does it.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
And he has all sorts of other music too. That's not just vocaltronica stuff. He has what I call like Quentin Tarantino sort of punk music, if that makes any sense. Bruce, I think, is his project I really like, and he's got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I'm excited to hear what he has. And then let's see who else. There's a guy who made a brief performance. I cannot pronounce his name for the life of me. It's like Jayo Merhenas. You can look it up. Is Megma Jazz is one of his projects. I forget where he's from. I am not going to guess and get it wrong, so I'm just going to leave that as a mystery as to where he is in the world. But yeah, he gave this on one of the songs. He gave this like stream of consciousness, off the cuff, sort of weird spoken word. Where he's just sounds.
He's the guy speaking on it. Then I was wondering who did the speaking parts.
Yeah, it sounds, the way I added it to the music, of course I try to make it match rhythmically, but just listen to it on its own. It's just a bizarre experience to listen to. But I mean that in a great way. It's so well done. Insanity perfectly performed in how he does it. Actual music that he does it's spoken word, a sort of stream of consciousness, modern beatnik, as I sort of describe it, over these like very unsettling. It's very atmospheric. So for the mathcore kids who want the rhythms, they're probably not going to find it there. It's very atmospheric, unsettling, and deliberately unsettling, and very experimental in that sense. And then who am I forgetting? I think the last person, last but not least, of course, is you, sir, with your leap blubbery on the jazz song.
Yeah, it was an interesting song. Whenever you send it to me, dude, it's so good. Like, I don't know how you arrange this stuff so well. I'm just gonna keep saying like how good this stuff is. I can't believe how like professional it sounds. It sounds amazing. And yeah, honestly, that song, the Barnstormer, I think is what he calls it, on the Callous Cowboys Die on Mars, where he does the little that weird vocals in the beginning. I was just trying to like copy that and make it as weird as possible. But, yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that you asked me to be on that. It was great.
Thank you. And like I said, I know we said it before in our private conversations, but every time I listen to it, I always laugh because there's like one part where it's, I don't remember the timestamp, but basically it's literally just and just I don't know what it tickles me pink every time. I can't stop. I can't help but laugh every time. But it's just so perfect. It's like I would be angry with you if you gave me any other performance besides that after listening to
it. Well, I'm glad that you're happy with it. So how do you chop up, because a lot of these vocals are chopped up and they're like panned in different directions and stuff like that. How do you figure out what you want to do to a performance to make it fit the album?
It's hard to say. It's really in the moment. I guess the way that I try to streamline it is at first I just take the vocals that are given to me and just stack it on the song and just listen to just how it sounds just as it is, not alternate at all. And then which of course is very random. It doesn't fit at all for the most part. These people were just like screaming randomly with no.
Oh, really? They weren't trying to like go along with the song?
Not all. There's some takes that they had no regard to rhythm whatsoever, which is fine. I've dealt with that before. but anyway, but just listening to it on its own, I just try to pick out, oh, there's this one split second where they have this very interesting cadence, so this very interesting syncopation in relation to the beat. So I just isolate that, maybe copy paste, repetition legitimizes, as the adage goes. It's basically that's the gist of it. I just try to find which parts that sound good on their own or just happen to work in that one small instance and see how that can be applied to elsewhere in the song. And just rinse and repeat from there and just edit it to kingdom come.
Well, it sounds really good, man. I really like this album, especially like how one of the things that I think is really cool about your music is how you pan different instruments and stuff, and how like in this album in particular, you have sounds that are going like across from you from like left to right and stuff, and just like the coolest panning. Like it sounds like you're well, I guess you have done a soundtrack to a movie, so it kind of sounds like a soundtrack to a movie. So yeah, it's honestly really great. So what are your current influences like as of today?
That's a great question. My influences have been kind of dwindling to these weird. I haven't really been listening to albums in full lately. It's just listening to other people's stuff and just like, the one song they post on Facebook or whatever, just listening to little music bits here and there. So it's weird to say, but I think the influences right now are just like when I'm watching YouTube and there's like, or I stumble across a random video that has like unknown music that I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where the music's from. So it's like really, it's like, it comes from a time period I can't even pinpoint. Like it could be some like weird jazz number, or it sounds like there was one person who shared a video semi-recently of like some 60s Russian band, a Russian trio. I wouldn't be able to tell. It was like jazz and classical, and like it was a band I can't pronounce. So it's like the stuff I'm being inspired by right now are names that I can't remember, can't pronounce. I will not be able to find ever again. So I'm trying to remember little nuggets and keep it in my head for future reference.
That's actually kind of an answer I would expect from you for like how out there some of your. That makes a lot of sense.
Glad point.
So how does the writing process work for you? Do you take it in like different steps, or working on each song like a part of each song like at the same time, or are you like going by song basis? How do you start them? Oh, and we just lost your video. Oh, no. Now you're back. You're back.
Oh, you know what? That's because I'm on the phone. It's already having low battery here. I might have to grab a charger here in a moment. Let's see. Well, I'm going to look for a charger in a minute here. As far as the song process goes, it depends on the album. Thank you kindly. Invisible stranger that's off camera. Bear with me here. So you're probably going to see me out of the frame, but you'll hear my voice. As far as the album is concerned, depends on the product. So I usually go by song basis. And I guess it really starts with this. With every album, it starts with a certain idea, what musical aesthetic I want to accomplish. So for Hooligans, there was the punk and orchestral stuff kind of slammed together. With Junk City, it's sort of like jazz and big band and a sleazy form of like punk sort of mashed together. For Vulgarian Philharmonic, it's orchestrated anxiety, as I put it. So there's already kind of a general, like I said, musical aesthetic or personality to it that I want to accomplish. But by there, I just start with one song and see if I can accomplish what I'm going for that one song, and just wait till I'm done with that before I move on to the next thing. As far as more specific things are concerned, like for Shriek, I just started with drums first, just rhythms first, because it's a mathcore album, so you got to start with the rhythms first, and then add them and stuff on after the fact.
So you have like all kinds of different lyrics that range from like being funny ones to like things that are commentary. How do you get your lyrical inspiration?
That very much depends on the project itself. For Dirty Habits, I wouldn't really be able to tell you. I was the only real objective for the lyrics for that was make sure everything rhymes and it sounds like it fits into some bar, like it sounds like some drinking or fighting songs. So I just let that carry me away. As long as it fits that musical aesthetic or that world, rather. For Junk City, it's anything that's nonsensical flies. So again, just anything that rhymes or anything that just well, actually, for Junk City specifically, I was really into listening to Scott Walker. So he's no longer with us, but he's a really bizarre music. It's like almost like a horror movie. It has this very strange. It's not spoken word, but it's this crooning, sing talk sort of sound, and his lyrics are just really bizarre and surreal. So I was trying to copy that in a way. And for Scumlords, yeah, that I wouldn't be able to tell you. Just like every song, I don't know, some of the lyrics, they kind of took on a personality of their own. And I ended up just kind of writing the first thing that came to mind. And somehow it worked. Some of it didn't, but some of it worked. It's, I don't know. So lyrics it depends on the project. I think if you brought up any particular album or particular song, I'd be able to give you a detailed answer, or more to the point. But
what about Threesomes with Me, Myself, and I?
The song in particular?
Or like the album? Like, why did you decide to do lyrics like that? They're kind of like out of character for the rest of your stuff.
Oh yeah, well that was me trying to be funny. I was trying. Whether I succeeded, that's left for debate.
No, you succeeded. You succeeded. It's great.
Yeah, I was trying to do something more comedic. So the country stuff, I think one of them is called Opinions. I got stupid fucking opinions, and they're 10 times better than yours. That was just me flat out being a boomer, even though I'm a millennial. Being a boomer and being jaded with all the people just arguing with each other online and just sharing their stupid fucking opinions, thinking like it means anything. It was me passive aggressively venting my frustrations for that. And then like there was another song called "Hail Satan," and I just thought that'd be good to have some sort of choral gospel organ for. That just seemed like the perfect choice for that. Gospel music for "Hail Satan," country music. Let's see. For the line "Threesomes with Me, Myself, and I." Now, of course, that song had to be about masturbation. I'm just going to leave that where that is. I'm not. The gentleman doesn't kiss and tell beyond that.
Well, most people wouldn't even go that far, like talking about masturbation and stuff.
I know it's on YouTube, so gotta keep your content somewhat monetizable.
Oh no! We can say whatever. We can say whatever. I just don't want to show some of like those videos, like what was it, the Savage Death Valley and stuff like that. But we can talk about whatever, man.
Anyway, it depends on the song. So if you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer them in detail.
So the recording process, the only real things are you playing like guitar and doing vocals. Is that right, or?
Yeah, so a lot of the albums are like what is it called? Dirty Habits, Threesomes with Myself and I, Junk City, Scumlords. Those are all playing guitar and bass. So that's actually playing guitar and bass, and doing the vocals for. And the drum, I had to program, and all the other instruments, I have to program through MIDI.
Okay. I need to get up the while I'm getting up the artwork. Why don't you tell us what you like to put on your hot dogs?
Well, I'm a simple man, so I prefer to keep it dressed as you normally expect it, which is ketchup and mustard.
just straight up. Okay. I'm not a big fan of ketchup myself. A lot of people know. If you've been watching this program, you know I'm not a fan of ketchup. Yeah, you just do straight up ketchup and mustard?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're looking for a spicier answer, I suppose if I wanted to be intimate, I would leave it in its birthday suit.
Leave it in its birthday suit? What do you mean? Just raw dog in the hot dog?
Dog in the hot dog.
Okay, so we got the art up for Shriek, a bunch of different mouths and stuff. It's pretty obvious where that inspiration comes from. Who did the artwork for this?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Well, I more or less traced. Not traced. I use it as a reference from different. I just Googled a bunch of images. I just typed in ugly mouse in Google. I wouldn't be able to tell you what the sources are from, and I just drew over that and tried to make it look different enough where I can't be sued for copyright. So.
Well, dude, they look so good, man. Like you're pretty talented at that. Are you a big artist then? You do a lot of like painting and stuff?
I used to draw a lot. I don't draw as much anymore. So ironically, Shriek was this album kind of was my, I don't say reintroduction, but it's having me kind of come back to doing some more visual stuff because I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, and I have a kid, early 20s, and I kind of haven't really done much since then. So it's kind of nice just to revisit doing art, and trying on animation for the first time as well.
You did animation? Oh, that's right, you did. I should have. I think I have that video up actually. Oh, we do. Okay, I didn't even pay attention to that. Anyway, we'll show that video in a second. I do like how this kind of ties in with the same kind of aesthetic as what you had with like Junk City and such. Were you like trying to match that aesthetic, or?
I think I was unintentionally influenced very much by Necrotherium. By the way, everyone watching, you should check out his stuff. His stuff is amazing.
Oh yeah, Please. We'll definitely have a link to the video in the description, like absolutely, to Death Valley. But yeah, man, this looks really, really good. You should do more artwork. This is nice.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Got the video that you have up for week. This is Humdrum Hysteria.
Yep.
It's very odd. Like, so you did all this animation then?
Yes.
This is really good, man. Like, what? And you don't do like video and stuff normally, though, right? Like, you don't animate things a lot, right?
No, this is this what you're watching is my first serious attempt at animation. I got like a drawing tablet and I tried to do some crude tests before this, a couple crude tests, but this is my first actual attempt to kind of see where I'm at and where I need to go. So.
Well, dude, it looks really good. It looks really good. Again, reminding me a lot of Necro, whatever you call it. What was his name? Necronerium?
Necrotherium.
Okay. Yeah. This is really good stuff, man. Yeah, you should do more things like this.
Thank you.
So, got a question that I'm trying to fit in regularly. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep asking it, but if your band is a drug, what drug would it be? The thought-provoking question.
Yes. The thing is, I don't do drugs. I'm not sure if I'm even thinking of the right one. What would angel dust, cocaine, crank?
Just taking it all together, putting it in a bowl, and snorting it up, man.
Schmolger, like of narcotics. I don't know.
So you have a theme for every album, like what we were talking about. What's the next theme going to be?
I have a whole folder worth of ideas, but of course I never really stick to the plans. I might end up going to something else. I think just very vague. I don't really have anything sort of fleshed out yet, but I would hope, because a lot of the albums I have are really zany or out there, or they're kind of all over the place. I was hoping to try something that's a little more laid back and mellow and maybe a little more sincere and not so sarcastic. I have no idea what that means, or what instrumentation, if that's going to be orchestral or a band, or what genre that would be. It's just a very vague idea that I have right now. That's.
So you haven't like started work on anything yet?
No, the only projects I'm working on right now are kind of doing some collaboration stuff, doing vocals for a band who I don't know they want to be mentioned right now because they're trying to keep on the down low or not. I don't know. I'll talk to the guys about it, see if they want to hype it up or not. But anyway, but doing metal vocals for some metal band, some technical metal band.
So you did an album so that with other people, so you didn't have to scream, and now you're going to start screaming.
Yes. did an album where it doesn't have any of my vocals, and then I'm going to be on an album for someone else's project where I do none of the music, but all the vocals.
So did you have some merch that you wanted to show off?
Sure. So let's see here. I guess still have this stuck in the closet. I don't even know. You see, I got t-shirts back when I was trying to really sell on Dirty Habits.
Nice. Why don't you have any current prints? Because that's a pretty old album.
Yeah, this is stuff that was left over. This is stuff that's been for years. I do have some stuff. I don't have stuff that's physically here, but what is that place called? I don't even use it. That shows you how much I actually sell stuff.
Like Teespring or something?
Yeah, something like Teespring. Hold on. Well, if you go to my Bandcamp, you'll find it there. But it's a print on demand sort of store.
Okay. I didn't see like a link to anything like that. That's why I was asking. But it's nice to know something like that exists out there. I need to check out some of your more current offerings. So what was the last thing you listened to?
Last thing I listened to was not anything you can find publicly. It was actually last thing I was listening to was actually one of the metal bands project I was singing on. So,
okay.
But as far as stuff that you could actually find on Google online actually the last thing I listened to was your single "I Hate Ice." I don't even put in my water. And that's not me brown nosing you or trying to promote it further. That's literally the last thing I listened to that was online. So
it's a pretty good song, man. I fucking dig it.
It is,
So what's your album of the year so far?
Album of the year so far? There's stuff that was actually released this year.
Yeah.
Problem is, I listened to a lot of music in the past, so I don't think I have an album.
I actually get that response a lot. That a lot of people don't stay caught up on current releases and such.
I feel bad. You know what? I've watched a few of your episodes too, where you're like, you realize after, it's like, oh shit, I should have said that album. That was the album of the year. So, and I'm actually going to take a cue from you, or at least one of your guests, in looking at my Bandcamp to see what I last listened to. Give me a moment. Let's see. I wouldn't say there's anything that I would consider album of the year. I might have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Which means no.
Well, instead of that, then how about what your one of your favorite overall albums are? Not your most favorite, because I know that'd be hard to say, but one of your overall favorite albums that you keep.
It's sort of been changing, but I think some of the more consistent ones, I would say, I keep coming back to Mr. Bungle's California. That always has a special place in my heart.
I still haven't actually listened to it. I keep getting like comparisons of my stuff to it as well, and I still haven't checked it out yet. I really need to.
I keep getting comparisons with my stuff to Frank Zappa, and I haven't listened to any. I barely listened to any Frank Zappa, so I don't see from what very little I heard, I don't see the resemblance.
Okay.
But Mr. Bungle, obviously, I'm a big Bungle boy, so that's definitely a very special place in my heart. I think by genre, I would say the metal bands, The Locust, New Erections, as far as that really bizarre sense of like cinematic mathcore sort of punk.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good one.
Yep.
Well, that's about all I had to talk about. Unless you had something else you wanted to bring up.
No, just hope everyone has a good night. Please buy my album. Please buy.
So if you want to hear the oddest sounds you'll ever hear, majestically crafted into one of the most beautiful sounds you've ever heard, you need to listen to Luke Kelly's new album, Shriek. Seriously, go do it. It's absolutely amazing. Like, oh my God, it's so good. You are on Facebook, Bandcamp, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all streaming platforms. And am I missing any? Oh, you had I'll find the link for the merch, and I'll put that in the description as well. But are there any other social plugs that I'm missing?
No, I mean, really, just all the links that I have are part of the link tree.
Okay. Okay.
Link. I don't know how you.
No, link tree. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the Luke Kelly link tree has all my social media stuff on there.
Okay. As for me, drop my channel follow so you always know when I go live. You can also sub to get access to the interviews before they hit YouTube and other streaming services, as well as some exclusive emotes. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube folks, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, click on the notification bell. Don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to support me for free. Check out my music, The Sound That Ends Creation, at thesoundthatenscreation.bandcamp.com. Pre-orders for my new albums, Boomers, Zoomers, Desperate Coomers, are up now. My next guest is Under the Pier. Join us this Sunday the 10th at 7 p.m. Central for the live cast. Thanks for being here, Luke. Hope you had a good time.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching and listening.